Nam la anu bo ta ko gelat mbate kalo la servero ta
We are in ancient Tibet. These monks have been traveling for several days, crossing rivers, valleys, mountains, and extremes of weather. They are on a mission. They bring back a symbol of supreme importance, a work of art whose presence will bless this temple and every being which lives around it. A prayer is said before this art can be seen. This is the story of the Thangka, an art born in the era of Gautam Buddha. Thangka simply means a painting which can be hung on a wall. Its simplicity enables one to carry it along when required. The presence of Thangka is believed to bring good luck to the owner and adds to the good karma of the painter. A Thangka artist has to observe strict discipline while painting. is a sacred belief amongst the artists that with each stroke of the brush, they are saying a prayer. They conform to the guidelines written in Buddhist scriptures. The scriptures mention the correct measurements and geometric details of the deities. The artist cannot choose to deviate from these measurements, for Thangka is not just a simple work of art. It is a sacred tool, a medium by which one can absorb the qualities of the deity. The deities are enlightened beings depicted by these mystical drawings. There are several deities in Buddhism, drawn in complex arrangements and intricate details. Yet, they all have the same essential nature. They're all different manifestations of Buddha or the state of enlightenment. The different deities shows the many sides of the enlightenment. The wrathful and vengeful side, as well as the peaceful and beneficent side. This is Kalchakra deity with his companion Vishwatma, the mother of all beings. Their intimate union symbolizes the state of great bliss and profound wisdom, skill, and compassion. The Kalchakra deity, with his many faces, hands, and ritual implements, shows the ability to handle all situations at any time. With his weapons, he crushes the demons, the negative forces of ignorance, anger, and greed. These demons can be overcome by concentrating on the image of Kalachakra. Some monks receive the visions of these bizarre forms in their dreams. What we see here is a detail from Bhavachakra, or the wheel of time Thangka. It describes the samsara, the endless cycle of birth and rebirth, arising from desires and attachments. It is believed that Buddha himself had designed this Thangka to illustrate the cycle of pleasure and suffering which a human being undergoes in his life. Some Thangkas might have complicated details, but the beauty of Thangka is simple enough to pull masses upon masses of people towards it. Soldiers, politicians, monks, and artists, people from all walks of life, surround these giant Thangkas to experience the sacred power of this art. The Thangka is an essential part of Buddhist life. It is a holy object and creates positive vibes around it. The deities, their postures, expressions, the fine lines in the clouds, the floral motifs, the water. One wonders what hands and minds, what eyes and thoughts were the first to put these beautiful forms on canvas. Let us travel back in time. Let us see how the first image of Buddha came into being. When the teachings of Buddha had already spread across many kingdoms, the king of Rajgir wanted to present the neighboring kingdom of Magad with a precious gift. He was advised that the impression of Buddha would make a befitting gift. So he requested the Enlightened One, and his wish was granted. But there was a problem. The artist was overwhelmed by Buddha's personality and the sheer radiance in his eyes. He couldn't draw. So Buddha suggested the painter to follow him to a tranquil pond and sat down near the edge. The artist then looked at Buddha's reflection in the pond and began to sketch what would become the first impression of the Enlightened One. This tradition soon developed into complex iconography depicting deities and their consorts, the lives of important lamas, and eventually broader aspects of Buddhism like medicine and astrology. Most importantly, this religious art was meant as a meditational tool to bring a devotee on the path of enlightenment and transcend the plane of earthly desires. From the very first image of Buddha to the modern day Thangkas, the art and the artists have seen their share of changes and influences. The tradition of Thangka is said to have begun in Nepal in the 11th century. Thangka, coming from different Himalayan regions, have different style and influences. In Nepal, the artists follow a style called Nevari. In the rest of the Himalayas and Tibet, there are styles called Mensar, Karma Gadri, and Menri. Menri is the oldest of these forms. It was developed in the 15th century by a passionate man called Menla Dhondup. He was a man looking for a meaning of his existence. After a bitter argument with his family, he left his village to embark on a long spiritual journey and wandered into a quiet forest. He would soon find something that will change his life. As the legend goes, Menla Dhondup found a set of paintbrushes in the forest. He believed it to be a divine offering, a sign which told him of his destiny. After this mystical experience, Menla Dhondup set to acquire a thorough knowledge of the art of Thangka. He revised the proportions and compositions of religious figures, developed new pigments, and wrote detailed instructions for painting accurate Thangka. In the scenic lower hills of Dharamsala, we visited an artist residency, Thangre Gatsal, harmonious garden of Thangka painters. It was founded by an artist couple, Sarika and Locho Chogyal. Locho has been practicing this art for more than 20 years and is now respected as a master painter. Sarika is one of the few female Thangka painters in the world.
With the occupation of Tibet by the communist China, over 6,000 monasteries were ruined, 6,000 religious institutions were ruined. So very rich art and culture was destroyed. And then His Holiness, when he sought asylum in Dharamsala in northern India, a lot of masters came with him in exile, and they all tried their best to preserve this art in exile as much as they could. So we all had envisioned that we will open this center and more such centers would follow with a clear aim and mission to preserve and promote the endangered art of Thangka painting. His Holiness has commented many times that there is an important need of preserving the quality of the art and culture instead of the quantity. So we have to lay stress on the quality and not the quantity. This would be the right and the meaningful way of preserving this important culture.
직 망고 도시 대대어다 대자가나리아 레제가나 직 현지 동주 직 리슝갈 베베지 근데 리슝 근데지가 있네 직슈 스텝토비는 tam 마냥 공배다 아니 지 냥바디가 라소인가 제도 아니 제도로 제는 야고시 야고 민우가 야고 마용의 선고도
Master Locho is starting work on a new commission. His student Lobsang will prepare the canvas. He begins by mounting the canvas on a frame. Then he prepares keso, a binder made of yak skin gum. The binder is uniformly applied to the canvas and left to dry. After the canvas is dry, the master begins by snapping straight lines to mark the painting area and symmetry. The canvas is now ready to be painted on. A finely executed Thangka may take several months to complete, and generally the master artists work with the help of their understudies. They require a deep knowledge of the measurements and symmetries as written in the scriptures. Towards the end of the painting process, the master begins to draw the deity's eyes. This is the most important and sacred part of the painting. Some painters have a talent for speed painting, especially while doing what are known as minthang, a thangka completed in a single day. Tenzin here is drawing a minthang. He has a talent to draw with speed while maintaining all the fine details. Once the painting is ready, it is framed in silk. Framing a thangka is a specialized task done by experienced craftsmen. A thangka is just a beautiful artwork until it is blessed by prayers. It gets its power through specific mantras. The Tibetan people now live in exile since 1952. Their communities randomly spread out across the world. In these difficult times, they are struggling to preserve their culture and identity. The quest to know about the modern-day Thangka leads to McLeodganj in Himachal Pradesh, the largest settlement of Tibetans in exile, also known as Little Tibet. Here we see young Tibetans practice for an upcoming musical performance in the campus of TIPA, Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. The community of Thangka painters here work from small studios. They receive commission mainly from monasteries and private buyers. A large number of Thangkas can be seen on display in shops of all sizes. But the quality of artwork is at the best questionable. These commercial Thangkas would be able to defy a simple buyer, but a closer look soon begins to tell their tale. These are quickly executed Thangkas made to satisfy demands of the weekend tourist. Only a few master Thangka artists remain in the world. The younger generation finds the profession too time-consuming and not much profitable.
Thangka's, for me, big problem is there's so much rules. For me, I cannot take a rule. I have my open ways like modern art. I prefer like my art, not like somebody art. So like Thangka already we have a fix, like how where Buddha sit, this way we have to do, but not you can change the Buddha's robes or this kind of thing we cannot change. So I think lots of young generation also don't like too many rules.
The art of Thangka does not carry the artist's signature. He has to remain anonymous.
Thangka don't have name, so you don't know who did. But these days, when people doing this kind of copy, so we don't know who's Thangka. It's all the same. That's for me, like my opinion, it's need to change. Like one artist to see, oh, this is it, Tanjin's art. Oh, this is like Tenzin's art. So this way, like in the world of modern arts, the all different famous art, but who did it. There's like a name, everything. But Thangka don't have name.
We can't write the name because God and ourselves, artist, is not compared. That's the reason here. We can write only the particular God names.
Thangka is now practiced by artists across the world. They are merging the old styles with the tools of today. Like these digital Thangkas, now popular in the Western world. A whole new generation of artists are now training to keep this tradition alive. Almost 3,000 years have passed since the first image of Buddha was created. The world is not the same since.
These people are exiles from Tibet.
In 1952, Tibet was occupied by China. The invaders wanted to erase the identity of Tibet forever. Most of the Tibet's libraries were destroyed. Thangka paintings were either burned or stolen. But the preservers of Thangka worked through all this turmoil, this rage and lust for power. Their art outlived the reaches of empires, dynasties, and countries. The story of Thangka is the story of our own minds. Minds which are free to roam in the boundless spaces of imagination. Minds which are free to create ideas, symbols, legends, and minds which cannot be conquered.